of size. Okay. So it says write the recurrence relation. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir, now
sir.
audible.
Yeah. So there was a disconnection actually. It's a problem with the net quality. Maybe. Uh, so you see here the small problem. What is the problem? We are going to write down the recurrence relation, that is Tn will be equal to, we have 10 instances of size n by 3. So it will be 10 T n by 3. Okay. Plus the combining time will be, plus you write theta of n square. So how to solve it? Yes,
Master's theorem.
Using
Master
master's
theorem.
theorem.
Master's theorem. So your A value is
10,
10,
10,
A
10.
value is 10.
10, sir.
B
10.
value is 2.
3.
B
3,
value is
3,
3.
sir.
3,
3.
sir.
So B value is 3. B
3.
value
Yes.
is 3. Now we have a term that is K value is 2.
2. And
Okay. Theta of n square. So we can write, when we look into theta of n square, we can write it as big O of n square. So K value will 2. So we'll select the appropriate condition and we'll finally write down what will be the solution of this recurrence relation. Okay, these problems which is listed are simple. Sometimes some tricky questions are there. Now you look into, you want to multiply two complex number. How you can multiply using 3 multiplication? It's another approach of the divide and conquer. Whenever we try to multiply two n-bit numbers, and when multiplying two n-bit number, we claim the complexity is to be order of n square, then with a substitution we can reduce it. Okay, so please have a look into these problems, and as I say, the problem size will increase. Now if you look into, these are not I mean, in that way, big problem or many texts are there, but we'll be slowly coming with the problems which explains in half page or 1 page. Or in particular, I can say I'll share you with you from Klinberg and Teddas. So look into this question number 15, and always you look into that. Most of the problem which is appear in these sheets are the application of divide and conquer, and most of the questions are answered like something like binary search, or a tree is to be constructed of height of order of log n. So you are interested to analyze, look into the problem number 15. You are interested in analyzing some hard to obtain data from two separate database. There are two separate database. You have to execute a query to retrieve something. Each database contains n numerical value, that is n number of records. So total, in a brute force method, you need 2n value, the total number. You may assume that no two values are the same, all records are identical, or maybe you have 2n number of different students whose records are stored into two different databases. So it says if you try to execute a query to retrieve the information in the database, how many queries you need to do. So you need to restructure to the database, so that searching of a particular, you look into the word, we are trying to do some searching over the database. Searching means I need a search structure. I have to design a search structure so that it has search has to completed with minimum height. So when you are reading a question and at the end you are finding a term like this login, so immediately it should click to you that I am looking into a search which is in T, in terms of tree, that would be height in the order of log n. So maybe a variant of the binary search will be the answer. So uh, first try to read the questions. These are not very tough question, but you have to map that which technique is to be used. If the question is to be appear at the end of the divide and conquer chapter, with a good guess, you can say you are going for divide and conquer. If it is not appearing on that, then how to solve it? So there are 30 questions. This is the usual exercise. We circulate the people so that you can be energized, you can solve the problem. Now look into the problem number 23. Using the quicksort implement and are discard in the class determining the running time of quicksort, that is sorted input, reverse order input, random input when all keys are equal. So you know in quicksort we have three conditions: best case, worst case and average case. The best case is that when we are dividing the array into two equal half. Now and here you must decide a quicksort algorithm. Let us say here my quicksort algorithm is a deterministic algorithm that select the first element as the pivot. So when I'm selecting the first element of the pivot, if I'm looking into case number 1, it is a sorted input that lands me to the worst case. Now this reverse order input, this is also a sorted. Maybe it is in ascending order, you want to do it in descending order, it does not make any difference. My algorithm select the first element as a pivot. So the case number 2 and case number 1 are identical, both of them are leading to the worst case. And now you look into the random input. The random input is typically what we are going to try out in the lab, or which we usually study in the text. For the random input, we have always a, what you can say, we have a average case, we have a average case. Now look into when all keys are equal, your sorting technique is not able to look into the array. When all keys are equal, then that is also land into worst case or best
Worst
case?
case.
Worst
Worst
case.
case.
Worst case. So you see, if you look into this question, only one line answer is there. Only a single line answer is there. Then one may demand that you should write corresponding recurrence relation. Okay, corresponding recurrence relation. Okay, so these are the questions, and now this is one of the problem which we discuss and which we'll discuss as a case study, that how to find out the kth smallest or kth largest element. I discussed in one class. This is known as your order statistics. Now one of the approach is the how the quicksort can be used to find out the kth largest smallest element or kth largest element. That we'll discuss because bit of mathematical derivations are there. I'll be using other devices to explain. Maybe typically these things we study in a Blackboard business. So we'll do that maybe in next class. So develop a algorithm to find out the kth smallest element. Develop the algorithm to find out the kth smallest element, a sequence that is presented to one element at a time in order in an order you cannot control. That means the input is a random. The input here it says many input sequence are possible, may be a sorted, may not be a sorted order. That means maybe reverse sorted. So you have to number of cases you have to assume. There is no generalized answer. You have only space of order of k. That means maybe a linear array you are using where you are storing the element. This model is a situation where voluminous data arrives over a network or at a sensor. That means we have to put them into queue. It try to map it to a real-time application. Refine your algorithm so that it achieve the running time of order of n log k. Refine the algorithm and it is analyzed further so that the algorithm runs an average case time of order of n. If k equal to order of n by log n, here the average means all the orders of the elements in the input sequence are equal likely. So the probability of, I'll be explaining a quicksort. I'll write down the recurrence relation of the quicksort and how we incorporate the probability of arriving. That means the way we select the pivot element when there are n number of element, we introduce a term that is 1 by n. So we'll take maybe one or maybe another class tomorrow to explain some things related to the QuickSet as a case study. Okay, so this I have uploaded, so you can refer to that. Now we'll be starting today little bit of the uh, which I would like to discuss related to your greedy algorithm. So I'm sharing a PowerPoint. Okay, we'll have a quick discussion on the greedy algorithm, and sometimes in the process of discussion I told there will be two flavors of the greedy algorithm. One is subset sum paradigm and another is ordering paradigm, very much similar to the control abstraction we discussed in case of divide and conquer. In the greedy also we have a general framework. It's not an algorithm, it's a framework that any solution which is to be designed using greedy has to put into that format, which becomes a algorithm. Okay, now these are we are trying to look into the problem. You see, in general the greedy is also a heuristic method. So what is the heuristic? We select smallest or largest, that is the heuristic. When there is a selection among the candidate, we select smallest or the largest. Okay, so that is the heuristic. This in general also applicable to the optimization problem. That if sometimes one says that in which context you will be preferring greedy, in which context you will be using dynamic programming. As you have discussed, dynamic programming is always a costly business. In the greedy, we may find the suboptimal solution, but most of the greedy algorithms, sometimes some good greedy algorithms, so try to have a polynomial time complexity, and some of the algorithms are sometimes linear time complexity. So the many for many optimization problem using dynamic programming determining to the best choice that overkill in terms of the time and implementation, so we go for a greedy algorithm. And always remember, the greedy algorithm makes choice that is local optimal. If somebody will say why greedy algorithm fail to deliver the optimal solution, so we can say the something related to the principle of optimality. It is not exhibiting the principle of optimality. Okay, so how to design the solution to the optimization problem? The first things we'll say here, so also we have a sub problem concept, and the most important is the greedy choice. Whenever we start the initial state, we have to also make the selection, but when we are making the selection, we select which is best locally. Okay, so in case of optimization problem, how we select something locally. That means if I am looking into this particular example, that is a shortest path problem. I think you got on the screen the shortest path problem here.
Yes, sir.
If I try to look into the greedy solution, it is looking into one stage. That is, I am at V0. Only these three edges are visible to me, which cost 3, 1, and 5. So if my problem is the minimizer, I'll select 1. If my problem objective function is a maximization, I'll select 5. Then once I'll come down here, then I'll select again minimum 2. Then I am taking minimum 4, and finally something is calculate 7. Maybe it is for a particular instance that shortest path computed using greedy may be optimal, but we cannot guarantee it for all the problems. So that we summarizes that there is always a optimal solution to the original problem. That is the first condition. Optimal solution to the original problem exists. Take the example of minimum spanning tree. We are trying to find out or construct we are trying to find out or construct the minimum spanning tree because minimum spanning tree for a given graph exists. Okay, so then how we are going to do it? That means it makes a greedy choice. So that greedy choice is always safe. Safe means none of the greedy choice will land you to a non-goal node. That means if you are following the selection path from a start state, will be definitely reaching at the goal state. That means none of the choice will lead to a non-goal state. If you compare the same thing with automata, maybe you start with a starting state and maybe you are going to a non-goal state. But here always you will go to the goal state. Maybe the cost or the cost of the path or the path which is selected is not optimal. Now, so now what you have need to demonstrate? Demonstrate that having made the greedy choice will remain in a subproblem. That means if you look into the stage 1, instead of finding the path from V0 to V3, we are solving a subproblem. That means I am finding a path from V0 to V1. Then what I am doing? I am finding a subproblem that is path from V0 to V2. So the solution or the path which I have selected from V0 to V1 is part of the solution. That is, my objective is to compute the path from V0 to V2. The solution or the decision which I have taken from V0 to V1 will appended or will be the part of the solution if I try to find out a path from V0 to V2. But in dynamic programming, if you have made a selection from V0 to V1, then when you are at V2, you are considering all possibilities. Maybe this is the ideal case, 1 is there. Let us say change this value 1 to 4. Then I have taken this 3. Then I have taken this 2. Okay, so then this becomes a greedy. But if I'll examine all alternative 5 along with all 4, 1 along with all these 4, 3 along with all these 4 choices, and then I am evaluating which is the best path from V0 to V2. That is dynamic programming. Greedy, whatever the choice we have made, that is a part of the solution. Okay. So looking into that property, we term this selection as a greedy choice property. Okay, greedy choice property, but it is in general applicable to the optimization problem. Okay, so what is the basic, the greedy algorithm and algorithmic technique to solve optimization problem? So we summarize it, or we say it's a in general applicable to the optimization problem. Optimization problem means it must have a objective function, and we will try to meet the objective function with a series of selection. Always make a choice. The choice which we made is based on a heuristic. The simple heuristic is whichever is minimum or maximum, depends on whether I am solving a maximization problem or minimization problem. We make a choice, makes a locally optimal choice, and in the hope that the choice will lead to global optimal solution. Always please remember the spanning tree, finding minimum spanning tree, or you can say maximum spanning tree, is an exceptional problem where a greedy strategy always gives you the optimal solution. So suppose that a problem can be solved by sequence of decision. I think this part is clear. Sequence of decision, because you take the decision in multiple stages to by starting from the goal node and reach at the I'm starting from the initial node, reach at the goal node. Greedy method has that each decision is locally optimal. Each decision is locally optimal, and this local optimal solution will finally add up. This is not always add up. You can say you are cascading depending on your problem. Only a few optimization problems can be solved using greedy method. What do you mean by solved? When we able to find out optimal solution. So we can say a spanning tree problem is solved. A spanning tree problem is solved using greedy method, but a 0-1 knapsack problem is not solved using greedy method, because I am not going to find out the optimal solution to a 0-1 knapsack problem using greedy method. Okay, so now
Sir,
this
what is
is
the sir?
yes.
So here the meaning of optimal means overall optimal solution.
That is, we call it as a global optimal.
Okay.
That is, we call a global optimal. When we are finding a solution to the optimal means, this means global optimal. Other
That
are
means spanning tree is global optimal solution for the greedy.
yes, yes. Spanning tree is all we can find the smallest or largest spanning tree using greedy algorithm. That is, in particular, you can say Prim and Kruskal. Both are greedy algorithm, but this is an exceptional case. It finds the optimal solution. Okay, it finds a
Thank you.
optimal solution. So we have many problems where you'll be it finds suboptimal solution. But you see, whenever we try to use the techniques in sometimes when we apply the genetic algorithm, we use the greedy algorithm to find suboptimal solution, then we improvised. Just you remember, for some of the problems, I am finding my solution which is not a optimal using greedy, right? Then I club up another paradigm, randomize. Just take example, you try to find out a path. Finding a shortest path will take exponential time. So you use a greedy strategy to find a path, right? After finding that, you did some random selection of edges, add and delete, and maybe after 2 or 3 trial, you are finding a better path. Just to remember, this sometimes some initial solutions are generated using greedy. Then we apply another paradigm like genetic algorithm or randomized algorithm to find out the solution. I'll explain you. Just to remember, sometimes some initial solution we are producing. Okay, so now, so this is actually discusses on a what is a optimization problem. The problem has many feasible solution. Okay, when we say many feasible solution, out of which one is best. Okay, each solution has a value. Fine, like a we can have n number, we can have a finite number of spanning tree corresponding to a graph, and each spanning tree, if I'll calculate the cost of the spanning tree, it has got a value. Then if I am going to find out a maximum spanning tree, it will be the maximization problem. If I am going to find out the minimum spanning tree, it will be a minimization problem. But my concern is how many of you have come across a problem statement that can you write a problem statement for finding minimum spanning tree and maximum spanning tree? Yes, who is going to attempt? Are you getting me? Hello? Can anybody write? Just like we write the problem statement for 01 knapsack problem, can you write down a problem statement for finding minimum spanning tree or maximum spanning tree? Any idea? Yes. Any idea? Let us say I have
construct a connected graph having n
no,
minus
just
1 word
no, that is
with min.
good.
Okay.
It will be n minus 1. Agreed. No, look into everybody should memorize and understood statement of 01 knapsack problem. No excuse on that. Now you see what I am going to select. I have got a finite number of edges, right? Suppose let us say I have got 4 edges, E1, E2, E3 and E4. Okay. I have got 4 edges, or I can say I have got 5 edges. And out of these 5 edges, I am going to select edge 1, edge 3, edge 4, and which is a spanning tree. Got it? Got it? That means
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I am just like 01 knapsack problem. I am multiplying a binary variable, let us say x or xi. Okay, that is I am going to write xi and ei. That means when I am selecting first edge and xi which is multiplied with that, it will be 1 and I don't want the second edge, it will be 0. I want the third edge, it will be 1. I want the fourth edge, it will be 1, and I want the fifth edge, it will be 0. So this is my solution, 1 0 1 1 0, right? Can you formulate a equation? Very simple thing. Please Google it, note down the problem. You see, when it is a optimization problem, one should write the objective function. Those who have not read the statement of the 01 knapsack problem, you read it again, and the way the objective function is written, the similar way you write down that minimize. What you will be minimizing? What you will be minimizing?
summation
Minimizing
of ages
summation of edges. Fine, that you can
and
use summation of edges. So that means you are not selecting
number
all
of
edges. You are not selecting all edges?
Sir,
Or
sir,
yes, please.
if there are n vertices, then we
Fine.
will select only n minus one edges.
Very good. But which n minus 1 you are not sure, na?
Yes,
That is
sir.
the question. That is the question. First thing, if you have n vertex and you are in a complete graph, please note it. You are in a complete graph. How many edges will be there?
N into n minus 1
N into
divided
N
by
minus
2.
one.
N
N
C2,
into
that is
n
N.
minus, very good, divided by 2. That means if I'll use a brute force approach, right? If I'll use a brute force approach, that means I'll construct all the spanning tree and calculate its weight, and I sort them. So what will be the complexity?
To the power.
You see, here you have
To the
introduced,
power
na?
and
Eh,
square.
yeah, when you say the number of edges will be that, so number of edges is how many? What is the number of edges? N into n minus 1 by 2. Let us say
Yes, sir.
number of edges is something is order of n square. Okay, clear? Okay, clear or not? Number of
Yes.
edges will
Yes,
be
sir.
order of n
Yes,
square.
yes.
So
Yes.
that
Sir.
means
Yes, sir.
that means the cardinality of the edge set is order of n square, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
when I am
Yes.
talking of a spanning tree, it is actually subset collected from that edge. Yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
so how many subsets are possible with n element?
Power
2
set.
to power set. Very good. It is a
Yes.
power set. Its cardinality is 2 to the power of n. So here actually you can say it is 2 to the power of n square.
N square.
Okay, out of these 2 to the power of n square sets, every set has to be examined and find out which one is minimum. This is the way we prove that is the size of my problem. Why my problem is exponential. Why it is a challenging problem. Got it? So almost all problems you will be finding solutions are or possible solution set, whether it is a feasible solution or infeasible solution, the whole thing can be represented as a power set for almost all problems. Okay, now how to write the objective function. That means I can name my edge as EI, EJ, or I can say I can say I will number my edges E1, E2, E3, and I can write cardinality of E1 is the weight, or I'll introduce a term W1, W2, W2, and 3 like this, the weight associated with the edge. So this is a simple home task for you, and you will find it out. Please search finding a spanning tree is a optimization problem, and you must able to write down the objective function. Once you write down the objective function, as we have assumed, there is a graph with n number of vertex. Let that graph is a complete graph. So we have number of edges is n into n minus 1 by 2. We can discuss on the sample space, or we can discuss on the possible spanning trees are there. If I'll approach the brute force method, it will be large enough. That's why we need some technique, so that by examining this number of solution, we can find out is the best solution. It may be dynamic, it may be greedy. Okay, is it possible to have a dynamic programming formulation for this spanning tree problem? If not, why?
Sir, there is no overlapping of problems.
There is no overlapping subproblem. Even if we apply a, uh, a dynamic programming formulation, so there is no clear-cut overlapping subproblems defined. Yes, I agree with the answer. Thank you. And now, look into the next, the greedy algorithm, the optimization problem in one which you want to find out not just a solution but the best solution. So greedy algorithms sometimes work well for the optimization problem, but it is not always going to produce the optimal solution. So we are using a term that is a global optimum solution or optimum solution in general, or The other solutions which we obtained, we call it a suboptimal solution. So here is an example. If you look into the denomination of a money which is decided in Indian currency, you see how intelligent they have designed. If you want to take the denomination, so if you demand for any denomination that is possible with Indian currency, so the end it is always minimum. It is always minimum. So suppose you are looking for the denominations for 6 rupees 50 paisa, then you know different type of coins are there. So look into this statement. For the Indian money, the greedy algorithm always gives optimal solution. But you think it in reverse way. Those people who have decided the denomination, why there will be a 50 paisa, why there will be no 60 paisa. They must have thought about this, that whenever we try to look into the denomination for any amount, and if we'll use a greedy algorithm, we'll always get a optimal solution. This example. Now we look into that. So in general, we can say greedy algorithm do not always yields the genuinely optimal solution. In such cases, greedy method is frequently used as a basis of heuristic approach. Okay, there are two way of arguing like this. As it is not going to produce an optimal solution, it is a heuristic approach. Or when we try to do the selection, we don't do much evaluation. We only go by the rule which one is minimum or maximum. Very simple evaluation. Suppose you have designed a greedy algorithm, and to select the edge of a spanning tree, you are executing one more algorithm which takes more time. So it cannot be appreciated. It must be a very straightforward approach. With single bit computation, you are able to select, okay, why I will not be selecting this edge, why I will not be selecting this edge. So even for problem which can be solved exactly by a greedy algorithm, establishing correctness of the method may be a non-trivial process. That means what it says, we have a section which will study how to prove the algorithm to be the correct. You have written down the algorithm, you are proving its correctness, and then you are going for the implementation. So in order to give a precise description of the greedy paradigm, we must first consider more detailed definition of the environment on which the typical optimization problem occurs. That means, suppose in a 0-1 knapsack problem, you that is the condition environment is like this: either you can select a item or you are not going to select a item, you have an knapsack size, so many things is being considered, so that we model it as an environment. So the typical steps to use in the optimization problem: so prove that there is always an optimal solution that makes the greedy choice, and so that the greedy choice is always safe. So this, without writing the algorithm also you can prove it. Suppose that the greedy choice and the optimal solution to the sub problem implies the optimal solution to the problem. That what it means to say, suppose you are making a choice, and when you cascade all the choices or add all the choices, it must be a solution. It must be a solution. Let us look into that. You are selecting randomly few edges. You have given a graph with n vertex, and there are, let us say it is a complete graph with n into n minus 1 by 2 edges, and you are making n minus 1 choices, right? You pick up randomly the edges. Is the output is a spanning tree? Are you getting me? You have given a graph, okay, and you are making n minus 1 number of choices because you need n minus 1 edges to connect n vertex, and you did it randomly. Are you going to get a spanning tree?
No.
Spanning
No,
tree,
sir.
but not minimum spanning tree.
You'll be getting a spanning tree.
No, sir.
No.
No,
No,
We
sir.
might get a
no.
cycle by
Uh,
chance.
by chance you may get a cycle, so that he tried to say, but in the greedy we apply this selection in a controlled manner, so that always will get a solution, will should not land into a situation like cycle. Got it? And that means if I'm doing a random
But it
selection
will be
on,
optimal mostly.
it is not optimal. Suppose I am making a random selection. You please remember the random selection or selecting any edge with a probability of, let us say there are n number of edges with a probability of 1 by n is also one type of heuristic. Greedy is a heuristic, and random, suppose I am greedy, I am selecting like minimum, maximum, comparing my neighbors. So randomized algorithm, when I'm selecting, randomized algorithm is also one greedy algorithm. That is also heuristic. There the selection is random. Here selection is based on the evaluation. Okay. And now when we have to make the choices, there are n number of alternative. I have to make the choices. So when there are n number of alternative, I have to select one. And it is in general applicable to the optimization problem. So how I will be selecting minimum or maximum? Suppose n items are available. How I will be selecting minimum or maximum? Yes, how I will be selecting? Do I need to sort always?
No, sir. No, sir.
No. So you please remember, none of the greedy algorithm is implemented by using sorting. So the items where the selection has to be made are put into a min heap or max heap. This is the thumb rule. Must. If any of the algorithm you have studied, minimum spanning tree algorithm or any of the greedy algorithm, if they have not discussed that the item where the selections are supposed to made are put into a max heap or min heap, the algorithm is wrong. The algorithm is wrong. We need a decision structure or a data structure which help us to in selection. Otherwise, if we use a typical sorting techniques, it will be order of n square, the complexity. So heap is the must. Then when we'll be moving to the advanced data structure, there we can justify why we are studying different type of heap. Got my point? Heap is so important to us for designing a greedy algorithm, and for many optimization problems we cannot get optimal solution because the time complexity is exponential. So in general we are happy with heuristic algorithm. You take any nature inspired algorithm, if you heard of genetic algorithm, firefly, bacteria foraging, etc., whatever the nature inspired algorithms are there, all are heuristic algorithms. And these algorithms are always compared with a typical generic greedy algorithm. And sometimes they are compared with randomized algorithm. Why these algorithms are comparable? Because all are heuristic algorithm. You can compare a family of algorithm when they have common characteristic. You cannot compare a dynamic programming algorithm with a heuristic algorithm, because one is deterministic, another is heuristic. Somebody will say, why you are comparing dynamic programming algorithm? Because already it is told the time complexity is too high. So you can compare greedy with random with other heuristic algorithms that we did in many application. I mean, maybe wireless network, cloud computing, maybe any of the algorithm, a typical clustering, all are greedy algorithms or based on the heuristic. Okay, now we'll be quickly moving into the function or the important function. There is a select function. So typically we have a function, selection function, which is to smallest or largest. So this selection function is need to be defined. Let us say for spanning tree problem, minimum spanning tree problem, what is a selection function need to be defined. That is the reason we need to represent the problem with the objective function. So again, we repeat, a greedy algorithm makes a sequence of choices. Each of those choices are seen to best when we look into a local environment, and this is not always produces an optimal solution. Two ingredients that exhibit the most problem themselves to the greedy strategy. One is got the greedy choice property, second is the optimal substructure. Just like dynamic programming or divide and conquer, we characterize. So how I am discussing these three paradigms, when you look into the problem, if you try to argue that I have a solution or I have a algorithm or I can design a new algorithm under greedy, you support your argument or claim by defining the greedy choice property and optimal substructure. Okay, so the subsequent and the next slides will talk about greedy choice property, which is very simple. A global optimal solution can be arrived by making the locally optimal or greedy choice. That means if you look into a pathfinding problem, you make a select a edge among the 3 alternative, then again you select a edge among 5 alternative, then you select a edge among 2 alternative, you can combine it. But while selection, you don't bother that 2 vertices are connected. Right? When you try to construct the spanning tree, you start with a vertex, you move to another vertex with a minimum edge. Then from that the connectivity is there. Okay, that's the connectivity is inherent part of the solution making, of course. So make whatever choice seems to be best at the moment and solve the sub problem arising after the choice is made. So the sub problem to which you are moving by after solving the first sub problem is looks different. Again, after when you solve the second sub problem, you arrived at the new sub problem. And if you could have taken a different path, suppose in the first there are 3 selection, you have taken first path, you will view one sub problem. If you take the second path, you will view another sub problem. If you take the third path, you will view another sub problem. Okay, and the next is your optimal substructure. So what the optimal substructure says, a problem exhibits optimal substructure if an optimization solution to the problem contains within the optimal solution of the subproblem. Again, I repeat that pathfinding example. So you look into the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. You are finding a solution by selecting the first stage connecting to vertex 0 to vertex 1. In second, you are finding a path from vertex 1 to vertex 2. Then third, you are finding a edge from vertex 2 to vertex 3. So the complete solution is contained within the solution to subproblem. So that is expressed in terms of the property. If an optimal solution A to S begins with the activity 1, then A complement will be defined by A differentiate with that first selection is optimal. So the remaining states are belongs to this. So this we can explain if we collect the set of edges and the vertex, we try to exhibit the optimal substructure. So please remember, whenever the problem before writing a algorithm, you try to claim that you have a greedy algorithm possible. So you argue across these points. We'll be discussing maybe when take the example of 0-1 knapsack or others. So the choice that is made at each step must be feasible. Okay, that means the choice which you are making is exist or it is a problem, that's information is available in your problem statement. Then second, it is local optimal, and third is the decision which will be made, you cannot change it. This is the way dynamic programming differs. The decision you made at the stage 1, you are going to discard when you are at the second choice. But here, whatever decision you have made, that decision will be the part of the solution. That is one of the reasons that why global optimal is not possible. So here we have 3 functions. We use a predicate called solution. We use a predicate called feasible. We use a selection function called select, and then an objective function which assigns a value. That's why I say the objective function must be written. Suppose for 0-1 knapsack problem, you want to maximize the profit, that profit will be the value. When it comes to the selection function, whether you are selecting that item or not selecting item, we model it as xi, either xi will be 0 or 1. And when it comes to the feasible, we are taking a knapsack of size, fixed size. When we try to add one item, first we check whether that item can be added to the knapsack or not. Then what is the solution? Then the item which is to be solution, we use a predicate how we represent the solution. Let us say I am considering a 0-1 knapsack problem. I represent my solution as 1 if I select the first item. If I didn't select, it is 0. Then second bit, if I'm selecting, it's 1. So it is a sequence, and it's a sequence. So that is the predicate or the solution. Okay, now looking into this, we designed, or you can say you can find in the literature, there are 2 control abstraction or a generic framework or procedure is available for greedy algorithm. Okay, one is your subset sum paradigm, another is your ordering paradigm. So these 3 slides I'll discuss. The first slide is the generic framework, and the second slide is is a subset sum, and third one is the ordering. Very simple difference. You look into this. You have to find the optimal solution to the optimization problem C. The set of all candidate solution where selection has to be made is represented by C. That means C is the set out of which you have to select. Maybe the C is something similar to the set of all ages. Okay, C is the set of all ages. Let us say I am finding minimum spanning tree. S is the set of candidates that represent the solution. Got it? Represent the solution means just now I told, suppose there are 20 edges are there. Then here S will be a vector of 20. If I'm selecting first edge, I'll make it 1, and if I'm not selecting, I'll make it 0. It is like that. So S is the set of candidates that represent the solution, and this is the way we can model it. But for a, let us say for a traveling salesperson problem, we can also model it. Suppose there will be a finite number of edges, which edge will be selected, which edge will be not selected, to find out the path. So initially solution set is initialized to empty or phi, agreed, while not a solution S or all the candidates will be examined. That means you are examining all the edges inside the candidate set C. That means the program stops when the solution is not produced. That means you have not visited all, or you have not connected all the n vertex. Let us say I'm constructing a spanning tree. So here my condition is that if all the n vertices are connected, then I'll stop, or else I'll stop when the candidate set is empty. And once the candidate set is not empty, we'll continue, because we try to select the edge and we'll examine whether it is a part of a spanning tree edges. Now this is the crucial. Here I'll explain you why I call it the randomized algorithm is also a greedy algorithm. You see here the simple function select is there, but there is nowhere it is mentioned how selection has to be done. So if you do the selection using a simple probabilistic method or randomized, it will be a randomized algorithm. If you do the selection based on a deterministic method like minimum weight or maximum weight, it will be a greedy algorithm. If you want to do the selection by copying the idea how the bats are flying or how the bacteria colony develops, it becomes a nature inspired algorithm. That's all. Okay, we are making a selection, but it is silent how you are selecting. You have to select X from available candidate. Then once you have selected, then you remove that X from the C, so you update the C equal to C difference X. Now you test the edge which, let us come to the spanning tree, the edge which you have selected. Previously some edges are selected. When you try to select the edge, you check whether that edge is going to form a cycle or not. So coming to the picture, well, feasible is the function which checks that the selection which you are supposed to make, or the X before added to the solution set, it feasibility has to be checked. Once it is found to be feasible, then that particular selection will added to the solution set. Previous solutions and plus X will be added to that. X will be added to that, and this process will continue because this is the while loop starts from step number 2 and it is continue up to step number 8. Suppose after you make all the selections successfully, does it guarantee that the solution which is produced will accept? Let us say in my problem statement, I have introduced, I am looking for a spanning tree whose cost should be 50, whose cost should not exceed 50. Right? I constructed a spanning tree successfully. Then because of my problem requirement is that the spanning tree which is to be obtained will be less than 50. Then I check if the solution S, then return S. Because you see, my algorithm is always going to produce a solution. So what I am checking here, this I am checking whether it is acceptable to me or not. Otherwise, you can argue that every selection is leads to definitely I am getting a solution. Solution is suboptimal. Then why not I am accepting? This step number 9 says, let us say for a particular problem, I am looking for a spanning tree less than 50. Then I may not accept that. So I'll write no solution. No solution because of my requirement. But solution is there. Okay, so that means if somebody will ask you to write down a spanning tree algorithm or a given a graph and a question is there, you check whether a spanning tree is possible with this cost. That means whenever a spanning tree is possible with this cost, then I'll broadcast the message. Otherwise, I'll not broadcast the message. So there again, you have to put one extra condition to check. Okay, this is the subset sum paradigm. So where this idea comes, subset sum paradigm, the subset sum paradigm comes that you are making selection out of the available candidate solution. Now, here, this particular array AN contains n representing candidate. Our candidate solution is in C, so we put them into a linear array. Let us say A. Okay. Now, how we are doing selection? You see here the selection function selects a particular this available array. Then other steps are similar. We check its feasibility. If it is feasible, we add it. Okay, so that means every time you make a selection on available subset, initial set is C, and then you are making a selection from C difference. C difference the item selected. But if you look into this, am I going to update the A value? See, I'm just making a selection out of the A, that is the array, but I'm not looking into the order at which the items are present. And when it comes to the ordering paradigm, this is the difference. You are making a selection from a set. You can select any item, first item, second item, third item, fourth item, fifth item. Here also we did the replacement that if there are n items, I select one, I remove that one, then remaining is n minus 1. Second selection I am doing from the I'm selecting among the n minus 1. So this is called subset. Selection is from a set. Now there will be a little bit of manipulation which is popularly in the KD. Whenever I try to do the selection, you see here this line is important. This line the modification is itself in the assumption. So here the set C which is represented, that means this AN is ordered. They are sorted in order. Okay, maybe in ascending and descending order. When we arrange AN in ascending or descending order, then I don't have any selection function. Look into this algorithm. I don't have any selection function. I sort them. Once I sort them, it is already decided I am going to take first element on first iteration, second element in second iteration, third element in third iteration. Got it? Now look into the minimum spanning tree. Look into the minimum spanning tree. It will be asked, write down two different algorithms. Forget about prim and Kruskal term. You asked to write down two different algorithms. So when you are arranging the edges into a min heap and doing the selection, that is nothing but your ordering paradigm. And when you have set of edges are there, you are making randoms, you are making the minimum edge which you are selecting out of the set. Out of the set you are selecting, or you are selecting the first edge, or then you are selecting the second edge, you are selecting the third edge. Go back to this algorithm. How you select? Select. So this select function will decide how you will select. But you have not arranged them in order. Your selection is from a set. Your selection is from a set. It may be a random. It may be always the first element, something like that. You always do the first element. First you select A1, remove it, then select A2, then select A3. You are going from the set. So then it has to select all the edges. You may be taking more time. Then you can imagine how to write two spanning tree algorithm. One is using its subset paradigm, other using ordering paradigm. And in this presentation, I have included two different algorithm for 01 knapsack problem. Okay, now let us come to the implementation. Every step is choose the best candidate remaining. While solving the problem, a heap structure is preferred so that for all x belongs to C can be arranged so that selection process will take order of 1. So this is must for any greedy algorithm implementation. The candidate must be arranged into heap. So greedy algorithm builds the solution in steps definitely for minimum spanning tree. The best case possible is to find out a solution in n-1 step, right? A greedy algorithm may or may not be optimal. If it is not optimal, it's sometimes close to optimal. So it yields a solution for many application is good enough. So the majority of the algorithm in the field, or maybe you are working on a research problem, all are greedy in nature. All are greedy in nature because the actual solution space is exponential. Okay, now a failure of the greedy algorithm, there are some problems where the greedy algorithm fails. So this is one of the example where the greedy algorithm fails or results in a solution, but that means we are not going to find out optimal solution. Then we can say the failure of the greedy algorithm. But looking into the requirement, if we're happy with that, we can say we have agreeing to the suboptimal solution. Okay, now there are many problems which is discussed. Maybe I'm just coming to example and quickly we'll finish this thing. Yeah, as we have discussed, this 01 knapsack problem is the optimization problem, and I told in one class why I am using the Sahani book, because the same problem 01 knapsack problem is discussed in all paradigm: greedy, dynamic, backtracking, and branching bound. So the objective is to maximize the profit. So PI is the profit associated with the ith item. We have n number of item. Knapsack capacity is W. So this is my constraint. The item which is to be selected or not to be selected, xi is a binary variable 0 or 1, and that is so the weight is act as a constant. I can accommodate that much of material which the sum of the weight will be less than the capacity of the knapsack. Now look into this particular example and you may argue why they are available in sorted order. Please believe this is a typical case. Even if they are arranged in the order, they are not going to produce the optimal solution. Okay, look into this example. We have a knapsack with the 5 items, and the weight of the corresponding item is 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and the profit associated them are 1, 6, 18, 22, and 28. Now we are going to design two different algorithm. One is under greedy paradigm, another is using ordering paradigm, and you will be finding in both the cases we are not getting optimal solution. Now look into this. Here we have the first item. The first item is of weight 1, so now it is feasible to accommodate into the knapsack, so I'll select it, right? So it gives me the profit 1. I'll select. Second item is 2, so I'll make a selection. The particular weight is 2 and I am going to select it. Status is 1, is I am selecting it, gives me profit 7. Then the third item is also feasible because 7 minus 11 the weight is feasible, so I select the third item which is weight of 5. So after adding that, I am not going to able to select the fourth item because its weight is 6. So the profit which I earn with the third item, that means my selection first is taken, second is taken, third is taken, fourth not feasible, fifth not feasible. So maximum profit is 25. Now if we'll, okay, this is the algorithm I have written. Now you will come to ordering paradigm. In ordering paradigm, what I have to do, accidentally, if you look into this problem statement, it is already ordered. It is already ordered. Only I change my strategy. How I change my strategy? Now, if you look into this knapsack, we ordered the item because what we try to do, we try to maximize the profit. That means the highest profitable item I should take. So I'll arrange them in a reverse order. So I take the first item. The weight is 7. I have a left with, I am starting with a knapsack of capacity 11. So I make a selection, my profit is 28. Then second item, so seventh I have taken, how much space is left? 4. This weight is 6, so I cannot select. This weight is 5, so I cannot select. This is 2, my remaining weight is 4, so I can select. Then remaining weight is 2, so I can select 1, so profit is 35. Got it? The profit is 35. But if you look into the problem with a good guess, you can calculate the optimal solution is 40. This is just example. We try with subset sum paradigm. We try with ordering paradigm, a simple 0-1 knapsack problem, but we are not able to produce the optimal solution. This is, I think, is the best example to test. Of course, solve a problem, it depends on an instance. It depends on an instance. Please remember, somebody has developed an algorithm. He is explaining with an example and saying that this algorithm fails, but it is not fails for all instances. Similarly, for a particular instances, our objective is to prove that greedy is not going to produce optimal solution. So for this input, we are proving there is no optimal solution. But it does not mean that it is not going to produce optimal solution. It may be producing a optimal solution for some cases. You please remember there are algorithms which where you able to find out the optimal solution or a solution for a particular instance, not for all instance. When we talk about the solvable of a problem or for a algorithm exists in which completes in polynomial time that finds the solution, but that is not the complete definition. We say finds a solution to the problem for all instances. You may develop a algorithm which is finding a solution to a particular case. That doesn't mean that it is solvable or you have a optimal algorithm. Okay, so you please go through these algorithms I have written here. Maybe you will not find it is sequentially from any book. This is the best way we talk about when ordering paradigm and subset sum paradigm. So I'll not discuss the other stuffs available this slide. So there are not much stuffs added. This example is to distinguish between the greedy. So why we discussing the greedy algorithm? Because in practice, when we try to find out or we try to take up some research problems or periodization, this greedy algorithm comes to our rescue. Many good greedy algorithms are used to find out the solution to the problem. So you can search a text where you can find the greedy algorithm for the problem. Let me talk about maybe a few minutes on a spanning tree. As I say, spanning tree, one of the attracted the most important problem when we talk about, you see, there is always a, is the slide is visible? Yeah. So here you see the spanning tree problem. The spanning tree problem, my objective is to decide the cable network and how to connect. So this is the problem is given. You want to lay down the cable. Maybe it is a water pipeline. Maybe it is a cable network. So you have to objective is to minimize the cost of the cabling. So which topology will follow in the network? Popularly, we use star bus topology. And if you go for the star topology, the cost of each central office is to connected with the individual cables. But if your protocol permits, then this is maybe the minimizing the total length of the wire. So this will minimizes your project cost. So just I need to say that if you look into the spanning tree problem, let us say we are connecting two network devices or router over a particular topology. Our basic objective is to find loop-free redundant network topology. Just remember this much. In practice, we want a loop-free redundant topology. So suppose a building is connected with one optical, and when we try to there is a damage to one optical, then we are losing connection to that building. So in practice, we try to form a loop and we use it. So depending on the implementation, this protocol is required. And only remember the spanning tree protocol is built into the switches, and which is extended star topology. Okay, so this is I'm not going to discuss. Sorry. So look into that. This is just to give you an idea. Don't look into a spanning tree exist. You have given a network protocol. You have to design an algorithm. So what the problem statement says? The problem statement says we want a loop-free logical topology. There is a network. Objective is to create a loop-free logical topology. So it recalls to your mind that okay, it indirectly asks me to construct a spanning tree. Okay, so this is the way we look into the problems. We try to apply the algorithm. We'll be talking more on the heuristic and when we will be comparing the how a greedy algorithm will be used over other techniques. But in practice, for many problems, we try to find out the solution with a greedy algorithm. Uh, Maybe if you required, I'll share this spanning tree slide. Maybe this is not going to be affect much. And the critical is the algorithm. You see how we write down the algorithm. Uh, please look into this. Please look into this. If you look into this algorithm, you see construct a heap. Any of you have come across such algorithm? Construct a heap. Okay. So we try to solve small problems, but exactly writing a spanning tree algorithm using prim and Kruskal, you see many functions are there. Find and minimum cost, which is computing, then union, you are adding to the solutions. Then I told one thing, if you are running a algorithm, I ask you to print the edges that are going to construct the spanning tree. That means we must able to construct a set which will include those edges which will be coming to the spanning tree. What happens in practice? In a routing, suppose I have to route the message. Let us say we'll come to maybe. Let us look into this graph. And I have to route a message from this vertex to this vertex. How it can route? Your node has a IP address. Got it? Please remember there is a term called routing tag. Routing tag. If I am looking into broadcast my message, I need, look into this diagram. I need the IP address of this node, starting node. Then I need IP address of this node. Then I need IP address of this node, this node, this node, this node, this node. Suppose my objective is to send a message to this particular node. Okay, so a routing tag is designed by cascading the address of the nodes. So the typical algorithm must able to produce the address of the node, not exactly the edge numbers or the edges. Okay, that's all from me. But as I say, you please try to look into Prim and Kruskal algorithm available in Sahani book. I don't know. In other books and so how they have written clearly, but where you have a selection based on the ordering. We have used the heap. When we do not have a selection based on the ordering, we can manage with a typical array. Okay. So I'd like to take the question from you. Yes. So maybe in the next class, we are not discussing anything on conventional paradigm. Maybe one class I'll derive some of the mathematical equations solving the recurrence relation for the quicksort and others, or I will be continue with our NP complete and we'll start the PG portion. Yes. Any query? Anybody
Hello?
has to ask? Yes, please.
Sir, you said like greedy will present a solution, but it is optimal. It might be optimal, it might not be optimal. We don't know. So
Okay.
we'll be learning like to how to know whether the solution which greedy has produced is optimal or not.
Yes. Yes,
know
yes.
it and how do we prove it?
Yes, yes. When we are defining a problem, we first then when we able to define a problem statement, that followed by we define the lower bound of a problem. Okay, remember the term lower bound. Once we define a lower bound, and once we are in the process of designing an algorithm, let us say greedy algorithm, you designed a greedy algorithm, you find out the time complexity of the greedy algorithm. If the time complexity of the greedy algorithm is equal to the lower bound, got it, then the solution is optimal. Okay,
Okay,
so that is
like you
yes,
told about the earlier lower bound theory, that one only.
yes. There is a complete chapter how to calculate the lower bound for a problem. So that lower bound calculation does not require any algorithm. It requires only problem statement. Okay. So let us come into that. Suppose let us come into the sorting. Why sorting is what is the lower bound of sorting? Why people are talking about sorting algorithms? What is the lower bound of sorting? Is it order of n? No, it's
Constant.
order. It's order of n. If n element there, I can sort them in order of n. Okay, if you develop algorithm which sorts the n number of element into order of n, so that's why people are trying to develop many algorithm, because optimal algorithm is not developed. Okay, so this is this is the approach. So whenever we are defining a problem, we are in a position to find the lower bound. That's why whenever we take up the problem for any of the research work, we very carefully use this word optimal. We use suboptimal. Only God can use the word optimal, not us. And if you are very much sure that your solution is optimal, then people will ask you to prove it. Okay, so that's why in practice it is always a suboptimal. Yes, please. Okay, I think you have the class now, 4:15.
Sir, the assignment you gave, is that an assignment or just for practice?
It is an assignment.
Okay, sir.
It's an assignment. Okay, not for practice.